When you stand in front of the mirror, there is a moment of confrontation. The glass does not lie. It reflects back exactly what is before it. But what is fascinating is that many people only see their surface, the shape of their face, the fatigue in their eyes, or the flaws they wish weren't there. Few take the moment to realize that the mirror is far more than glass. It is not simply reflecting what is outside. It is a symbol of the inside. When you speak into the mirror, you are not addressing an object on your wall. You are addressing the universe within you, the deepest part of yourself that governs what you believe, what you strive for, and what you eventually become. To understand the mirror as self-reflection is to realize that the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. The truth is that every person lives under the influence of an inner dialogue. This dialogue often begins in whispers, sometimes encouraging, sometimes destructive. It is the dialogue that says you are not good enough, that you cannot achieve what you dream of, or that you should stay where you are and not reach further. And yet the same dialogue can be reshaped into a powerful anthem, reminding you of your worth, your resilience, and your capacity to grow. When you stand in front of the mirror, you catch that dialogue at its source. You cannot hide from yourself there. The eyes looking back at you know your fears, your failures, and your hidden strengths. They know the stories you tell yourself in silence. And when you choose to speak into that mirror with intention, you begin the work of rewriting those stories. For some, this might feel unnatural, even silly. To stand there and declare something positive to your reflection might sound like a small ritual without substance. But here lies the secret. What you declare into the mirror is not for the glass. It is for your mind, your heart, your spirit. The reflection is a witness, holding you accountable, showing you the image of the one who must carry out the words spoken. When you look into your own eyes and say, "I will rise," or "I am capable," or "I am worthy of love," you are not chanting empty phrases. You are planting seeds. And seeds, when nurtured, will always grow into something larger than themselves. Self-reflection is not merely about seeing who you are. It is about recognizing who you are becoming. The mirror captures a moment, but the person within that moment is in motion, evolving, changing, choosing. Many of us live our lives seeing the mirror as a place of judgment. We notice the imperfections, the flaws, the scars. But imagine what changes if we decide to see the mirror as a place of possibility. Instead of asking, "What do I lack?" we can begin to ask, "What can I create?" Instead of thinking, "I do not measure up," we can say, "I am in the process of becoming." That subtle shift in perspective begins to reframe the entire story of our lives. To speak into the mirror with self-reflection is to embrace honesty. There is no audience, no critics, no applause. There is only you. And it is in those raw moments of honesty that transformation begins. If you have ever stood in the mirror after a heartbreak, after a failure, or in the middle of deep uncertainty, you know how heavy it feels. The reflection carries the weight of your pain, but you also know that when you speak truth into that same mirror, when you declare that the pain will not define you, that the failure is a lesson, that the uncertainty is not the end but the beginning, you feel a spark of strength return. That spark is the universe within you, stirring, ready to obey the voice of conviction. It is said that the way you see yourself determines the way the world sees you. If you carry shame into the mirror, shame begins to shape your walk, your posture, your decisions. If you carry confidence into the mirror, confidence radiates into every encounter. This is why reflection is powerful. It is not just about what is visible. It is about what becomes invisible yet impactful. The way you talk to yourself in that mirror echoes into the way you step into rooms, the way you seize opportunities, and the way you allow yourself to love and be loved. Think about the great shifts that happen in people's lives. They rarely begin in front of an audience. They begin in solitude when someone dares to speak differently to themselves. An athlete, preparing for a defining moment, often stands before their own reflection, whispering or shouting promises of victory. A student before an exam looks in the mirror and reminds themselves that they have prepared and are capable. A person battling illness looks into their eyes and tells themselves that they will fight one more day. These are not dramatics. They are acts of power. The mirror becomes an altar where faith is spoken, and once spoken, it reverberates outward into action. It is not just about affirmations. It is about truth. Speaking into the mirror requires the courage to acknowledge both light and shadow, to say, I have been broken, but I am healing. To say, I have made mistakes, but I am learning. To say, I am afraid, but I will step forward anyway. These words matter because they are honest, and honesty, when declared with courage, transforms shame into strength. The mirror reflects the face of one who refuses to surrender. There is a mysterious way in which the universe responds to such declarations. Some call it faith, some call it energy, some call it alignment. But whatever language we give it, the principle remains. When you align your words with your belief, and your belief with your action, the world begins to shift. Opportunities you once ignored become visible. People who share your vision are drawn toward you. Challenges you thought impossible begin to crumble under persistence. It feels almost as if the universe is obeying, but in truth, it is your inner universe, the one reflected in the mirror, that has decided to obey the voice of belief. And when the inner world changes, the outer world cannot help but respond. Consider a person who has lived years under the weight of doubt. Every time they look in the mirror, they think of failure, rejection, and inadequacy. That mindset shapes every decision. They avoid risk. They shrink in conversations. They choose safe paths that do not stretch them. But the day they choose to speak differently into the mirror, the cycle begins to break. I am worthy. I am capable of more. I am no longer bound by fear. These words spoken daily create new patterns in the mind. Over time, those patterns become confidence, and confidence becomes action. The universe seems to shift not because the stars have rearranged themselves, but because the person has. We underestimate how deeply we are influenced by the words we give ourselves. We expect encouragement from others, but the most powerful encouragement must come from the reflection staring back at us. Others can cheer you on, but if your reflection does not believe it, the cheers will fade. The mirror is the first place you must learn to applaud yourself. When you look into your eyes and say, I believe in you, you are not lying. You are committing to become the kind of person who is worthy of that belief. That commitment changes everything. The mirror teaches responsibility. No matter how much you want to escape blame or avoid accountability, the reflection reminds you that your life is in your hands, and that is not a punishment. It is a gift. Because if your life is in your hands, then change is possible. If your reflection shows someone you do not want to be, you have the power to transform it, not overnight, not without effort, but with steady intention. Every day you return to the mirror, you return to the place where transformation begins, and when you speak into that mirror, you are shaping tomorrow's reflection. The mirror also holds memory. Look long enough and you will see not only who you are, but echoes of who you were. You might see the child full of dreams, the teenager full of questions, the adult carrying burdens. To reflect is to remember, and to remember is to reconnect with parts of yourself you may have lost. Speaking into the mirror allows you to reclaim those lost parts. You can look at yourself and say, I will honor the child in me who dreamed big, or I will protect the part of me that still longs for joy. These statements heal the fractures within us, making us whole again. It is a sacred act, really, to speak into the mirror. Sacred because it unites the visible and the invisible, the present and the future, the broken and the healed. Each time you stand before your reflection, you are invited to choose. Will you speak words that chain you, or words that free you? Will you repeat the harsh judgments you've heard from others, or will you author your own narrative? The choice is yours. And the beauty is that the mirror will not argue, it will simply reflect back the one who chooses. In the end, to understand the mirror as self-reflection is to understand that the universe does not begin out there. It begins in here. What you see in the glass is only the surface. What you speak into it becomes the seed of reality. If you want to see change in the world around you, begin with the words you declare into your own reflection. The mirror will listen, your spirit will rise, and soon enough, the universe will obey. Words are among the most underestimated forces in human existence. They slip off the tongue with little effort. They vanish into the air almost as quickly as they appear, yet their impact lingers longer than almost anything else. Words have built nations and destroyed them. They have healed broken spirits, and they have crushed hopeful hearts. They have inspired revolutions, and they have silenced dreams. The world itself, as we understand it, is shaped by the stories we tell, and stories are made of words. To understand the power of words is to understand the raw material out of which reality itself is constructed. Think of your earliest memory of being encouraged. Perhaps someone told you, "You can do this," or "I believe in you." That moment did not change the material world around you, but it changed you. It shifted the way you saw yourself. Suddenly you had a new lens, a sense of possibility. Now think of the opposite. The moment someone told you that you weren't enough, that you would never succeed, that you didn't have what it takes. That wound might still echo even years later. What is fascinating is that both experiences were born of the same thing: words, just sound, vibrations carried through air. Yet they left marks on the soul. This is the mystery we often overlook. Every person carries within them an archive of words spoken over their life. Some words are bright, they carry hope, they remind us of our worth. Other words are heavy, they weigh us down, they sit in the back of our minds whispering doubts in our quietest moments. Sometimes, without realizing it, we are living out the script written for us by words spoken long ago. A child told repeatedly that they are smart and capable grows into an adult who is confident in problem solving. A child told they are clumsy or lazy might unconsciously carry those labels into adulthood, wearing them like invisible name tags. The words we hear shape the way we define ourselves, and the words we speak reinforce that definition. But the power of words does not end with identity. It extends into action. When you say to yourself, "I cannot do this," you have already lost half the battle. When you say, "I will try," you open the door to possibility. And when you say, "I will succeed," you are already stepping into a reality where success becomes more likely, because your actions will follow the direction of your words. The human mind is deeply suggestible, and the words we feed it become the thoughts it runs on. Speak often of fear, and fear becomes the rhythm of your life. Speak often of courage, and courage takes root. There is also a sacredness to words that cannot be ignored. Every culture, every faith tradition, every philosophy has recognized that language carries creative energy. Ancient texts speak of the world being spoken into existence. Philosophers have argued that reality itself is structured like language. In ordinary life we see this too. A vow is made with words. A promise is broken with words. A war is declared with words. A marriage begins with words. The breath of the human voice, shaped into sound, has always been the hinge upon which history turns. When you tell a child that they are loved, you are not merely describing a feeling, you are giving them a foundation upon which their life can stand. When you apologize sincerely to someone you have hurt, your words become a key that unlocks the possibility of healing. When you speak encouragement to a friend who is in despair, your words become light in their darkness. And when you unleash careless, angry words in a moment of heat, those words can wound so deeply that no amount of silence afterward can erase them. The power of words lies not in their length or eloquence, but in their timing, their intent, and the heart from which they are spoken. Many people treat words as if they are disposable, but they are anything but that. Words are seeds. Once spoken, they cannot be unsaid. They fall into the soil of the mind, and depending on the soil and the seed, they either wither or they take root and grow. Some words sprout quickly into encouragement or pain. Others lie dormant for years, and then one day, in a moment of vulnerability, they come alive and influence us. Think about how a compliment you received years ago might still lift your spirits when you recall it, or how an insult from childhood still stings when it resurfaces in your memory. The words themselves are long gone, but the seeds they planted are still alive. This is why we must be careful with the words we choose. To speak is to create. Every time you speak, you are either building or tearing down, either planting something that will nourish, or planting something that will poison. It is not only what you say to others, but what you say to yourself. The self-talk that runs through your mind each day becomes the atmosphere of your inner world. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," "I always fail," or "nothing ever works out for me," you are setting a stage for defeat before the play even begins. But if you tell yourself, I am learning, I am growing, I am capable of more than I think, you are giving yourself a chance to rise. Words are also bridges. They connect us to one another. A single sentence can build a friendship, spark love, or heal years of distance. A single careless phrase can sever connection and build walls of resentment. In this way, words are not just communication, they are architecture. Every relationship is built on the foundation of words exchanged over time. Families are shaped by the way parents speak to children, and the way siblings speak to each other. Communities are shaped by the narratives spoken within them. Nations are shaped by the speeches of their leaders. Humanity itself is shaped by the great words recorded and passed down through history. And yet, for all their power, words are light enough to carry anywhere. You do not need wealth to give someone encouragement. You do not need status to speak kindness. You do not need permission to choose words that heal instead of harm. Each day we have thousands of opportunities to release words into the world. A greeting to a stranger. A thank you to someone serving us. A word of recognition to a colleague. A reminder of love to a family member. These moments may feel small, but they are never wasted. Each word is like a pebble dropped into water. The ripples extend farther than we can see. But let us also be clear. Words are not magic without responsibility. Simply speaking positive things without action is not enough. The power of words is real, but it requires alignment with effort. Saying I will succeed means little if you refuse to take the steps toward success. Words open the door, but action must walk through it. Yet without words, action often loses direction. The two are partners. Words set the vision, action fulfills it. This is why leaders speak before they act, why movements are sparked by speeches, why revolutions begin with slogans. Words give shape to what action will pursue. Even silence is part of the language of words. Choosing not to speak when someone needs encouragement is itself a form of speech. Failing to apologize when we know we should speaks volumes. Silence can heal when used wisely, but it can also harm when it is a void where words of love should have been. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is part of understanding the true weight of language. There is also the question of intention. Words can be identical in form but opposite in impact, depending on the heart behind them. I love you can be manipulative in one mouth and liberating in another. I'm proud of you can be shallow flattery or deep affirmation. The energy behind words is often felt more than the words themselves. This is why authenticity matters. People do not simply hear words, they feel them. At some point in your life, you will realize that the words you choose do not only shape others, they shape the legacy you leave behind. When people remember you, they will often remember what you said. Perhaps it will be a phrase you repeated often. Perhaps it will be the way you spoke to them in their most fragile moment. Long after your actions fade from memory, your words may remain. A teacher's encouragement echoes in a student's life, decades later. A parent's blessing is carried by a child long after the parent is gone. A friend's laughter-filled words become a source of comfort when times are hard. What you say becomes part of someone else's story. So what do we do with this understanding? We become deliberate. We pause before we speak. We ask ourselves, will these words build or break? Will they heal or harm? Will they open a door or close it? We remind ourselves that even when anger boils or frustration rises, words once released cannot be pulled back. And when love stirs, when gratitude swells, when admiration rises, we remember not to withhold words of life. Too many times people die, never hearing the words they most needed, simply because someone assumed there would always be more time. Words are not just about the present, they are about the future. The things you declare today set the tone for tomorrow. If you constantly declare despair, despair becomes your reality. If you declare hope, hope finds a way to manifest. The universe, in its mysterious way, seems to align with convictions spoken aloud. This is why so many traditions practice affirmations, prayers, mantras. They are all, in essence, ways of directing the power of words toward the creation of a desired reality. Every day we stand at a crossroads of language. We can speak fear or faith, hate or love, despair or hope. The choice is ours. And the miracle is that no matter what words we have spoken before, we can choose differently today. We can choose to speak life into places where we once spoke death. We can choose to speak healing where we once spoke harm. We can choose to use words as instruments of peace instead of weapons of destruction. This choice is available to everyone, no matter their past. In the end, the power of words is not an abstract idea. It is a lived reality. Look at your own life. Consider how much of who you are today was shaped by words you once heard or words you once spoke. Recognize that the same is true for others. Then realize that each time you open your mouth, you hold that same power in your hands. You can be the voice that lifts someone out of despair. You can be the voice that challenges someone into greatness. You can be the voice that reminds yourself of your own strength. Or you can be the voice that wounds, belittles, or limits. The responsibility is immense, but so is the opportunity. Words are not just sound. They are destiny. They are not just communication. They are creation. They are not just what we use to fill silence. They are what we use to shape eternity. Speak carefully. Speak courageously. Speak truthfully. And speak lovingly. For in every word you release, you are writing the script of the universe you live in. And one day, when you look back, you will see that your world became the echo of the words you chose to speak. There is a rhythm to existence, a pattern that runs through everything we see and everything we do not see. Some people call it energy, others call it divine order, and others describe it simply as the way things fall into place when we are in tune with ourselves. Whatever the name, the truth remains that life seems to flow more smoothly when we are aligned with the universe, and it resists us, frustrates us, and confuses us when we are not. To align with the universe is not to control it. It is to move in harmony with it, to listen closely to its rhythm, and then step into that rhythm so that your life becomes part of a greater song. Most of us have experienced moments of alignment without even realizing it. These are the times when everything seems to click, when opportunities arise just as you are ready for them, when the right people show up at the right time, when the work you are doing feels meaningful and your energy seems to replenish instead of drain. We often describe these moments as luck, coincidence, or serendipity. But what if they are none of those things? What if they are evidence that for a moment you have found yourself aligned with the current of the universe instead of fighting against it? The opposite is also familiar. Think of the times when nothing seems to work, when every step forward is met with resistance, when doors close no matter how many times you knock, when the path feels heavy and joyless. Sometimes these struggles are necessary, teaching us perseverance and resilience, but other times they are signals that we are out of alignment, that we are pushing in a direction that does not match who we are or what the universe is calling us toward. In those moments, life feels like swimming upstream, exhausting and endless. Alignment begins with listening. Too often we live with so much noise that we cannot hear the subtle guidance of life itself. The universe does not usually shout, it whispers. It nudges us through intuition, through coincidences that are not coincidences, through the feeling in our chest when something feels right or wrong, through the encounters that seem small but carry great meaning. To align is to pay attention to those whispers, to trust that they are not random but are guiding threads in a larger tapestry we cannot yet see in full. But alignment is not only about listening, it is about living honestly. You cannot be in harmony with the universe if you are living a lie. If your daily choices contradict your deepest values, the universe will always feel like it is against you. You may achieve things through force, through struggle, through relentless effort, but the victory will feel hollow because it was never aligned with your soul. When you are honest about who you are, what you love, what you value, and what you seek, the universe begins to respond. Opportunities that fit your truth appear. People who resonate with your energy find their way into your path. Work that drains you fades, while work that fulfills you expands. Alignment is not about forcing the universe to give you what you want. It is about becoming who you are meant to be, so that what is meant for you can find you. This is not to say that alignment removes all struggle. Even rivers, though they flow in a natural direction, must move around rocks, must carve through obstacles, must sometimes crash in turbulence before smoothing again. But notice the difference between a river flowing in its natural course and water trying to run uphill. The first is effort with purpose. The second is futility. Life, when aligned, still demands effort, still tests us, still stretches us, but it does so in ways that strengthen and shape us. Life, when misaligned, exhausts us with battles that are not ours to fight. To align with the universe is also to surrender control. This does not mean passivity, nor does it mean giving up responsibility. It means recognizing that there are forces larger than us, timelines beyond our understanding, and outcomes we cannot predict. Alignment is saying, I will do my part with integrity and faith, and I will trust the universe to do its part. Too often we try to force doors open that are meant to stay closed, or we cling to paths that no longer serve us. Alignment requires the courage to release what does not fit, even when it is familiar, even when it is hard, because every time you let go of what is not aligned, you create space for what is. There is also a discipline to alignment. It is not something that happens by accident. It is something cultivated. It begins with aligning your thoughts, because your thoughts shape your words, and your words shape your actions, and your actions shape your life. If your thoughts are constantly cynical, fearful, or self-destructive, you will find yourself out of step with the abundance and possibility of the universe. If your thoughts are open, hopeful, and courageous, you create a vibration that matches the flow of the universe. This is not empty optimism. It is recognition that what you dwell on expands, and that the universe seems to amplify the frequency you send into it. Alignment also requires patience. The universe does not obey our schedules. Seeds sprout in their season, not before. When you plant intention, you must also plant trust. Many people speak into the mirror, set their goals, declare their hopes, and then abandon them when the result does not come quickly. But the universe works in timing, not in haste. Alignment means being willing to walk the path faithfully, even when the destination is not yet visible. It means trusting that delays are not denials, that waiting is not wasted, and that every season has a purpose. One of the most beautiful aspects of alignment is the way it brings peace. When you are aligned, you stop fighting battles that are not yours. You stop comparing yourself to paths that are not meant for you. You stop grasping at things that do not fit your soul. Instead, you move with a quiet confidence, knowing that what is for you cannot miss you, and what is not for you cannot hold you. This peace is not laziness, it is freedom. It allows you to pour energy into what matters without being drained by constant striving for what was never meant to be yours. There is also an interconnectedness to alignment. When you are aligned with the universe, you naturally align with others who are aligned. You attract people who share your vision, your energy, your values. You become part of a network of harmony, where collaboration feels natural and support flows both ways. Conversely, when you are misaligned, you often find yourself surrounded by conflict, by relationships that drain instead of uplift, by circles that do not reflect your true self. The company you keep is often a mirror of your alignment. Sometimes alignment demands courage because it will pull you away from comfort zones. The universe does not call you into alignment with mediocrity. It calls you into alignment with growth. Growth means leaving behind old versions of yourself, sometimes leaving behind old environments, even leaving behind people who no longer resonate with your truth. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Alignment asks, who are you becoming, and what must you release to step into that becoming? The more you resist, the harder life feels. The more you surrender, the more the current carries you forward. Think of those moments when something inside you whispered that a situation was wrong for you, but you stayed anyway. You likely felt the resistance, the heaviness, the constant struggle. Now think of the times when you followed that whisper, even though it was scary and everything seemed to open up around you. That is alignment. It rarely feels easy at first, but it always feels right. To live in alignment is not perfection. It is not about always knowing the exact next step. It is about listening, adjusting, trusting, and returning to truth. It is about catching yourself when you drift into fear or comparison, and gently realigning with love and authenticity. It is about living in a way that your actions, words, and values form one continuous thread instead of being tangled in contradiction. When you live this way, the universe seems to cooperate with you, not because it suddenly changes, but because you have changed to flow with it. There is a great liberation in realizing that alignment is not something you find once and keep forever. It is a continual practice. Just as the earth is always turning, just as the tides are always moving, so too is alignment something you return to again and again. Every day you are asked, will you move with the current or against it? Will you listen to the whispers or drown them out with noise? Will you trust the timing or demand your own? In the end, alignment with the universe is not about getting everything you want. It is about becoming who you are meant to be and discovering that who you are meant to be is far more fulfilling than what you thought you wanted. It is about realizing that your life is not separate from the universe, but part of its unfolding, that your desires and dreams are not random, but part of a greater story. When you align, you stop living as though you are battling the universe and start living as though you are dancing with it. And in that dance, you discover a peace, a joy, and a power that no struggle against the current could ever give you. Everything begins in the unseen. Every great creation, every innovation, every movement that has ever shaped humanity was once just a vision, something invisible, something fragile, and almost impossible to explain to others. The chair you sit on, the phone you hold, the building you walk past, the music you listen to, all of it began as a thought in someone's mind before it took shape in the material world. This is the nature of life. Manifestation is always preceded by vision. Nothing exists that was not first imagined. To move from vision to manifestation is the essential human journey, the passage from dream to reality, from possibility to tangible form. The tragedy is that many people stop at vision. They dream, they imagine, they hope, but they never allow those images to step into reality. Fear silences them. Doubt convinces them that the dream is foolish. Circumstances tell them that the time is not right, and so the vision remains locked within them, unmanifested, unshared, untested. But those who dare to take the journey, those who treat vision as the seed of action, discover that life itself bends in response. Manifestation is not magic in the sense of shortcuts and tricks. It is magic in the sense of transformation, of watching something that once existed only in your mind begin to breathe in the world around you. Vision is a gift, but manifestation is a responsibility. When you see something clearly in your heart, when you sense a possibility for your life, it is not given to you by accident. That vision comes because you are capable of carrying it. It comes because the universe is inviting you to be a co-creator. And if you ignore it, if you bury it under excuses and procrastination, you rob not only yourself but the world of something that was meant to exist. Every vision has a purpose. Every dream carries within it the potential to serve, to uplift, to expand what is possible. To manifest it is to honor that purpose. The process of manifestation always begins with clarity. A vague hope cannot manifest because it has no form to grow into. Vision must be sharpened, defined, painted vividly in the imagination until it becomes more than a wish. It becomes an intention. When you hold that intention clearly, it becomes like a compass. Even if you do not know every step of the journey, you know the direction. That clarity influences your choices, your habits, your associations. It begins to shape your life in subtle ways, guiding you toward the path where manifestation can occur. But clarity alone is not enough. You must believe. And belief is not pretending. Belief is conviction. It is choosing to hold faith in the unseen long enough for it to become seen. Many people abandon their visions because they expect instant results. They plant the seed one day and dig it up the next, frustrated that it has not yet sprouted. But manifestation requires patience. It requires tending to the unseen with care, trusting that growth is happening beneath the surface long before it appears above ground. Belief is the water that keeps the vision alive when no evidence yet exists. From belief comes action. Manifestation is never passive. You cannot sit idly and expect the universe to deliver without your participation. Vision calls for movement. It asks you to take steps, sometimes small, sometimes bold, but always steps that bring the invisible closer to visibility. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates opportunity. Each time you act, you send a signal to the universe that you are serious about the vision, that you are ready to hold what you have asked for. Action transforms vision from a dreamer's escape into a creator's reality. Along the journey, you will meet resistance. Manifestation is not smooth because growth never is. There will be obstacles, delays, disappointments. But these are not signs that the vision is impossible. They are signs that the vision is stretching you into the person capable of carrying it. Manifestation is as much about who you become as it is about what you create. A vision too large for your current self will demand that you grow, and growth often comes through challenge. Each setback is part of the alignment process, shaping your character, sharpening your focus, teaching you resilience. Another truth is that manifestation rarely happens in isolation. The universe works through connection, through people, through community. Your vision will attract those who resonate with it, those who are meant to support, collaborate, or contribute. At the same time, it may repel those who cannot see it, who do not understand it, who feel threatened by it. This is natural. Not everyone is meant to see what you see. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone. It is to stay faithful to the vision until those who are meant to walk with you recognize it. Manifestation also requires alignment between thought, word, and action. If you think one thing but speak another, or if you speak one thing but act in contradiction, the universe receives a fractured signal. It is like trying to tune into a station but sending out static instead of a clear frequency. When your thoughts affirm your vision, your words declare your vision, and your actions pursue your vision, the signal becomes strong. The universe seems to respond. Opportunities align, resources appear, doors open. It feels like obedience, but in truth, it is resonance. You have attuned yourself to the frequency of your vision. One of the greatest obstacles to manifestation is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. Fear whispers that it is safer to keep the vision locked away where no one can judge it. But safety is the enemy of creation. To manifest, you must risk. You must step into the unknown, knowing that you may stumble, knowing that you may fall, but trusting that every step is still progress. Fear will never disappear entirely, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of fear. The more you act, the weaker fear becomes. Gratitude is another key to manifestation. Gratitude aligns you with abundance. When you are thankful for what already exists, you create space for more to come. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to possibility. It reminds you that you are already living in the manifestation of previous visions. Things you once only dreamed of are now your reality. Recognizing this gives you faith that today's vision will one day also be realized. Gratitude keeps your energy open and receptive, while ingratitude closes doors and blinds you to opportunities. It is also important to remember that manifestation is not about control. You cannot dictate every detail of how the vision will unfold. Sometimes the universe delivers in unexpected ways, through paths you never imagined, through timing you would not have chosen. To manifest is to set intention and take aligned action, but also to release attachment to the exact form and timing. This surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows the universe to bring you not just what you want but what you need, often something greater than you imagined. There is beauty in the process itself. Too often we rush toward the outcome, thinking manifestation is only about the moment the dream is realized. But the truth is that the journey from vision to manifestation is where life happens. It is in the small steps, the daily choices, the growth, the lessons, the courage built along the way. The manifested vision is simply the fruit. The journey is the tree itself, with roots deepening and branches expanding. When you learn to love the process as much as the outcome, manifestation becomes not a single event but a way of living. And when the vision finally does manifest, there is a sacred recognition. You remember the moment when it was only an idea, fragile and uncertain. You remember the times you almost gave up, the nights of doubt, the obstacles you overcame. And you stand in the reality of it, and realize that you are not only living the manifestation, you are living proof that vision works, that faith works, that persistence works. That moment is not just about you, it is about everyone who will be inspired by your journey. everyone who will now dare to believe in their own visions because they saw yours come true. In this way, manifestation ripples outward. Your vision is never just for you. It is a gift to the world. When you manifest your dream, you give others permission to do the same. When you build, you show others it can be built. When you create, you expand the realm of what is possible. Manifestation is contagious. It awakens courage in those around you. This is why your vision matters. It is not selfish. It is service. It is contribution. It is the way the universe evolves, through individuals daring to manifest what only they can see. In the end, the journey from vision to manifestation is the story of becoming. It is not about luck, not about shortcuts, not about waiting for life to hand you what you want. It is about seeing clearly, believing deeply, acting courageously, persisting faithfully, and trusting the process. It is about aligning your inner world with your outer actions until the invisible becomes visible. It is about honoring the gift of imagination by turning it into reality. And it is about realizing that manifestation is not a one-time event, but a lifelong rhythm. As soon as one vision manifests, another will be born, calling you forward into the next chapter of creation. So dare to see what others do not see. Dare to hold on to the vision even when the world calls it impossible. Dare to act as though it is already real, because in many ways it is. And dare to persist long enough to watch it take shape, to watch the universe bend in cooperation, to watch the invisible step boldly into the visible. From vision to manifestation, the journey is yours, but the impact will always extend far beyond you.